Star Wars only. I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
What's up, guys? Star Wars only here. We're gonna do the Let's Talk Star Wars, where we sit back, relax, and just talk Star Wars for about an hour. Answer a lot of your guys' questions on YouTube and Instagram. And so let's just get right into it. Let's just talk about Star Wars and chill. So the first question is by Joe Henry Ortega. Have you watched the first episode of Resistance yet? And if so, what did you think of it? That answer is a no. I don't have any feelings on it because I haven't seen it yet. I don't care to see it. I am 19, I have a job, I have this, I have school, and I train as well. I don't have time to sit down and really invest myself into some kid show. I'm sorry, I just simply don't. And so I've seen a lot of Star Wars people out there in the community saying that it's good, and that considering it's for kids, it's not bad and whatnot. It is geared towards kids. For me, it's kind of like, well, no shit. It looked like it's for kids, so why do I care? So I'm not going to check it out because I don't want to, because it's made for kids. That's like me getting mad at, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or something like that, or me watching it and critiquing it and being like, well, I thought it was actually a pretty good episode. I like the Pluto and Mickey's relationship and everything. Who the fuck cares? It's for kids. It's not meant for me. So, yeah, no, I'm not watching Resistance, and I don't plan to. Steve-O asks, rank all the Star Wars movies in your opinion. Not going to do that. I'll make a separate video for that. That's a long talk. Maurice Soffer, I don't know how the fuck to say you guys' names, but he said, how would you remake The Last Jedi? I get this question all the time, every freaking time I do these. I don't know entirely. The way episode 7 ended is a completely different way on where I would go, because the problem I have with episode 8 from the get-go is Luke is stuck on an island and it seems like he ran away from his problems. And so now, no matter what approach I do for him, it's gonna seem like he ran away and left a map to him and everything to find him or something. It just, for me, it doesn't already make sense. Luke wouldn't run away like that. For me, Luke would be in the middle of the action. He'd be leading the cause. He'd be trying to train some Jedi and whatnot. So I don't know how I would approach that from that standpoint. For me, what I would do with the First Order versus Resistance is, I guess, keep the Resistance on the run, focus on something like that, then going planet to planet, trying to get some soldiers or people to help them out, get more support for their cause. And then I would have Finn, and even if Rose has to tag along, so be it. And I hope she wouldn't be in my movie, honestly, so never mind. But I've had Finn's story arc. Poe's story arc would be defending, these people that need his help and everything, and not being the guy who goes in and attacks all the time. It just does something not stupid, but just he's kind of like, the adventurous of the group. He just wants to go out and do something, and kind of having him deal with the fact that if he goes out and does something stupid, it's going to end up causing trouble for the people he's with now and everything. Kind of have that kind of story arc going on with them when they're on the run, because you can't be on the attack when you're on the run like the Resistance is. And then I would have Finn's story arc where he infiltrates the First Order and tries to get stormtroopers to kind of rally with him as well. Get more people for the cause and be like, hey, I turned, so should you. First Order's evil. Kind of have that moral problem. And so give Finn that kind of story arc of him, instead of being the guy to run away the entire time, he has to be, going into it, going into the First Order and bringing people with him and actually staying and fighting. And so that would be his kind of thing. Rey, I don't give a fuck about, so whatever. I don't know. Ray would be doing something with Luke, and I'd figure that out later. Next question is Patrick McDuff, I believe I say his name. He says, Star Wars only, I know what the fuck your problem is. Where did that come from? Common question. String line of events, basically. There was a YouTuber made a video dissing the EU with Disney, and I made a response video saying, hey, it's not that bad because it's a few years old. Give it some time and then you can hate on it. But right now, it's you can't hate on it. There's a lot of things that were wrong with the old EU, and even Lucas himself said it wasn't canon. Well, someone saw that video, and his name is Darks Nova, and I can't remember the original video that I critiqued, but Darks Nova came back and was just talking shit, and he was like, Star Wars only, you're just a little whiny man baby bitch or whatever and whatnot, and was just saying that, Rey's overpowered, the old EU is pretty good, and it's amazing, and it should be canon, how dare you say it shouldn't be, and everything, and then eventually he said, Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is, and he just keeps going on, and so it's a long fucking story of stupidity, honestly. Next question is from King Griffin Hammer, and he's been subscribed to me for a while. I've noticed that. He said, "What's your favorite episodes / moments from the Star Wars Clone Wars, or from Star Wars the Clone Wars?" One of my favorite arcs is 99. The clone arc itself, where they actually stayed home on Kamino and defended, and I believe it was in the first or second season. I really like that arc. I'm not gonna lie, that was one of my favorite arcs. in the show because it actually does get a little emotional when 99 dies. It's very, it's a tearjerker. You can't say it's not. Another one I'm really fond of for me is the Mortis arc. I really thought that was a good one as well. There's a lot of good ones in the Clone Wars. I will not beat around the bush there, and I like that. And they all go on different routes. The Mandalorian one is always pretty cool, and almost a lot of the stuff that deals exclusively with the Sith I like. But if I had to pick, I'd pick the Clone arc with 99 in it. I thought that was a great one, and just seeing most of those troops just kind of grow over the season, it's a great show, honestly. The next question is, what Sith would you like to see on the big screen? You know what? We would need a Sith that isn't like Palpatine, who's just pure evil and can manipulate stuff. It'd be kind of nice to go back to like a Darth Vader kind of guy. Not exactly Darth Vader, don't get me wrong. I don't want Darth Vader himself. But a kind of different villain, a unique villain to Star Wars. Someone that's just interesting all around. I'm trying to think of one. Darth Krayt was interesting. I really do like Darth Bane. I feel like Darth Bane would be a good Sith to have in kind of the way to question the philosophy of the Jedi and their meaning and whatnot. Exar Kun, if I'm saying his name right, was also a really interesting one. I liked him because he created the I forget, it was kind of like the end of the Darth name. Like there was nobody named, like it wasn't Darth Bane or anything. Like it was just kind of that name was gone or something like that. I believe I haven't caught up in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's what he did. And then eventually Darth Bane was like, nah, fuck that, I'm Darth Bane. So I don't know. I would like to see something like that. Bane or Exar Kun, I think those would be really two good villains. Or even Thrawn. Thrawn would be... Oh, fuck, that's not a Sith, though. That's a villain. So, yeah. Bane be preferred, or Exar Kun. I like both of those. Characters like those. This guy, King Quarter, he asked a lot of questions, and I'll see if there's any ones that I really like, and I'll respond to. Favorite lightsaber battle in the movies? By far, my favorite one is going to have to be Return of the Jedi, Luke versus Vader. The emotion behind that was just purely amazing. I absolutely love it. And choreography speaking, I'd have to go for Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That is one of the most beautiful ones ever in terms of action. It really helps that movie look good. And then this one's an interesting question that I like. If you had a chance to spend time with an Ewok, a Wookiee, or a Porg, which would it be and why? That's a good question. I'd probably say the Wookiee because the Wookiee would intellectually be closer to me. He wouldn't be like a pet. He'd be like a just big friend. And so, who wouldn't want to hug a Wookiee, honestly? And so, a Wookiee just seems like one of those guys to be just kind of like, just chill with. Just sit down and chill. The Ewok's going to want to go around and do everything. The Porg is like a fucking bird or a squirrel. It's just stupid, and, it's got no life in its eyes or anything. No wonder. It's just doing whatever the fuck it can. So, yeah, I picked the Wookiee. Do you think Star Wars: The Old Republic would be a hit at the box office, specifically focusing on Knights of the Old Republic 1 with Revan? Would it be a hit at the box office? In the current state of things, let's say it's a exact copy. No. Now hear me out. Other than, not casual Star Wars fans, but Star Wars and video game people, which, believe it or not, is not that big. A casual Star Wars fan who's only seen the movies and maybe a little bit of the show, but doesn't really play the video games, kind of older people. They don't know who the hell Revan is, or what Knights of the Republic is, or anything like that. So you would need to have a different kind of marketing behind it. Now, I would argue this. Right now, a lot of people who grew up with those games are my age, if not a little older. So a lot of people remember these games now. Millennials and whatnot. They'll remember some of this. And even people who grew up with Star Wars in the 80s and the 90s for sure, a lot of these people are going to remember these games. So you would have a market, but promoting it and marketing it and selling it to the fans is going to be different. Because another thing you have to consider is that's a very long video game. And this is only going to be like a 2-hour movie. So there's a lot you have to condense into that. There's a lot of character changes that you're going to have to do. A lot of ventures that may or may not have happened already. So there's going to be a lot of different stuff going on. So that's why I wouldn't think it'd be good to do something like that. Star Wars: The Old Republic, exactly like the one we know. If you're going to do Star Wars: The Old Republic, don't even mention Revan. I don't care. If you want to bring him back into canon but redo his character, I'm okay with that because I understand it. A lot of fans won't be. So I would argue that you simply just need to reboot it, but new characters, be original yourself. So that's that, and then you can market it off of that. So everybody could watch it and be, for us fans of the Old Republic, we'll be like, oh, well, this is new. It's not a story that I know, so I'm not going to know the ending to this. So that's kind of intriguing. So there's a lot of cool things that could go on if they don't follow the original Knights of the Republic stuff. But yeah, if it came out right now, I don't think it'd do too well. Let's see. If you could visit Jabba's palace in real life in a Star Wars universe, Oh, and if the Star Wars universe is real, would you? This is before Jabba's death, of course. Hey, I'm a big party goer guy. I mean, come on, man. If you get me drunk or anything like that, I'm down. If it's a good party, I'll do anything. Let's go. I'd go party with Jabba as long as I'm in a good positioning where I can be like, hey, thanks for the party, buddy. I'm gonna head out tomorrow morning or something like that. If I'm like just a random Joe, like I don't know him, and if I party with him at the Ohm something, probably not. And I probably would just want to see him and be like, hey, I met Jabba once, and then be like, all right, I'm done. Cool story if I could do it, but depends on the situation I'm in. Discuss how sad it is the best thing that came out of Last Jedi or Porgs. I mean, I don't really think that's true, but whatever. Would I let the Wookiee win in chess? He'd probably beat me, if anything. Probably. I wouldn't really care. If I knew I could win, that's all I needed to know. Like, if I got to a position where I was like, alright, well, I could get a checkmate right here, but I'm going to let him win, and that'll be it. Let's see. Andrew's Random Entertainment asks, talk about the new Vader film. Oh my god. Everybody asks about this one, wants my opinion on it. It's not out. I don't know. I don't care about it. I mean, it looks like another generic fan film. I hope it's great. I hope he does a great script and good acting on it, and hope it's actually unique and not just the same old, please the fans kind of film. I hope it's actually a good fan film. Like, is it actually something that I could be like, oh, I'll watch this again. So I hope it's that good. Will it be? Probably not, but I'll watch it for sure. I'll give him support. I like the guy. I think Star Wars Theory's pretty chill dude. So I'll watch it, but I don't have much of an opinion on it because there's no trailer, so I don't really care right now. Would you like to see Rey with a double-sided lightsaber like Maul since she's familiar with staff combat? I mean, she was just training and just fought with a one arm, or not a single-bladed lightsaber. So what's the point of switching it up to two? A lot of weird things that were argued by people in defense of Rey and her training and whatnot is they're like, oh, she does well with the lightsaber because she, fought with the staff. She trained herself on a desert planet after all those years. She was training. Yeah, you can't self-train. All right, I do jujitsu now. I've been doing it for a year or two. I have a black belt in American Taekwondo. I've done a lot of karate. I've done a lot of martial arts in my life. Trust me, you cannot learn that crap by yourself. And also, believe me when I say, a staff does not translate to a katana, to a sword, anything like that. Completely different. Completely different. Now, there's similarities, don't get me wrong, but no. So, if there's anything, they should have given her a staff, because that definitely would have been unique to see a Jedi do it on the live, screen, big screen, everything, live action. That would be unique. But, whatever. Maybe we'll get it in the next one, because she did lose her lightsaber, so hopefully she does. That would be kind of cool. But, yeah, the whole staff combat makes her good at single-bladed lightsaber combat is the dumbest crap ever, but whatever. Next question is by Frothy Walrus. That's a funny name. Do you think the new Star Wars content needs both more lightsaber duels and more space battles? Nah, not really. A common misconception along a lot of Star Wars fans is one of the reasons people love Revenge of the Sith so much is Episode 3 is because it has this exactly. It has, a huge space battle at the beginning and also has the most lightsaber duels. And lightsaber duels aren't supposed to be all about the action and everything. They're internalization of character. That's why Episode 5 and 6 has the best lightsaber action for me is because it actually focuses on the characters. Kind of like, Anakin and Obi-Wan, there's emotion behind that. Stuff like that. So I don't really need more action from Star Wars. I need more story. It's a fairy tale. It's supposed to be, good versus evil. It's supposed to be a fun adventure. And it's supposed to be enjoyable. For me, recently, the most adventure I've had with one is the Han Solo one. But it wasn't the best either. So I don't know. This one's too long, buddy, so I'm not going to sit there and try to read all that. Next question is by Mr. GP-5. He said, would you want the true Mandalorian and the Django comics to become canon? They play a pivotal role within the EU Mandalorian history. No. I want Disney to stray as far away from the old EU as they can and be as original as they can and as creative as they can. Have writers come in, make new characters that really intrigue me so I can not know how the character ends. If I know, with the Django comics, it's going to come out, and at the end it's like, well, I read the EU version of this, so I already know how this ends. I don't know. I want something original. We complain so much about The Force Awakens being an exact copy of A New Hope, but I know damn well if they started, doing some recanon work with Django, people are going to be like, well, why would you do that with Django but not Darth Nihilus or not Darth Bane or Darth Plagueis and all this stuff, and so it's a never-ending battle. So just don't try to recanon anything, don't try to recopy some stories, be original, be new, and The Mandalorian's going to be a good show. I pray to God it is, and it looks like it is from my perspective. This one's by Elemental Jedi, a long fan. I like him. How do you think Star Wars would have ended up if the Force had made Luke instead of Anakin. Well, what timeline are you talking here? I mean, is this the original trilogy? Is it when Anakin came out? If it's Luke's character, it's I don't know. I mean, Luke and Anakin are actually very different people. They may be father and son. They're very different. They both do like the adventure, but Luke's more of the adventurous kind of type. And the reason that being is he wants to go on the adventure for the family aspect of it. He wants to be a Jedi like his father. So there's that aspect of it where he has that motivation to become a Jedi. Anakin, he is the adventurer, so he just simply wants to go see the world. He really wants to be a pilot and everything. So it would definitely be a different story. I'm not sure how it all would have ended up. I definitely don't think Luke would have turned to the dark side. I will be that, because Luke's not obsessed with power. You watch episodes 4, 5, and 6, he's not really obsessed with power at all. And that's never been Luke's prerogative. So unlike Anakin, I don't think Luke would turn to the dark side. Because Anakin was motivated by, he wanted power to save Padme. And Luke wouldn't want that. So I think in the end it would... I don't think Luke would have a kid, and I think everything would actually be pretty okay. I think Luke would figure out that Palpatine was the guy, and I don't think Palpatine would pick Luke to manipulate or something. He'd probably pick someone like, what's her name, Barriss Offee? If I'm saying her last name right, I'm sorry if I'm not. He'd pick someone like Barriss from the Clone Wars, who's kind of like going in on the dark side a little bit, or try to keep, if Luke didn't kill Count Dooku, then he'd still have Count Dooku. So there's a lot of possibilities, man. It changes up a lot. This one's too long. Boom, boom, boom. This one's the same question. This one's by his last name's Mapping. I don't know. He asked a good question. Are you actually going to do the Change My Mind at Celebration? He says, I know you're probably not, but whatever. Basically, if you've ever seen like the Steven Crowder or even the memes that came out a few months ago about The Last Jedi sucks, change my mind, or water's good for you, change my mind. Just stupid stuff like that. Memes. I had an idea where I basically wanted to do that at Star Wars Celebration, either in Chicago or the one after that, where I just get a bench or a table and I put a sign up and say, The Last Jedi was bad, changed my mind, and just simply interview people and debate with people why they thought it was good, why I thought it was bad, and just kind of discuss that with a lot of Star Wars fans to really get a good grip of what people do. Am I actually going to do it? I could see it happening, don't get me wrong. It's more probable than it's not. The question is, are they going to let me? And where am I going to sit? Am I going to get a booth inside Star Wars Celebration and do it like that? I mean, that's pretty cool if they'd let me, but I don't think they would. Am I going to do it outside? I mean, legally speaking, am I going to be able to? So I don't know. I would love to, though. And I would love to do it at Celebration, and especially if like Ryan Johnson was there and he like showed up and was like, "Oh, sure, you want to talk about it? Let's do it." I thought it was great, man, and I'd be like, "Oh, really? Let's go." And so we would just have a nice little debate about it, and so that would be a dream come true. Just debating with him and just seeing what really went through his mind on that. That would be amazing. So yeah, hopefully it does happen. Will it though? I wouldn't count on it. This next one's by Ronnie Coleman, and it says, "Opinion on Hello Greedo." I feel like I get asked this one a lot too. I don't agree with him on everything he says about Star Wars. I agree with him on I agree with him on the way he approaches Star Wars as a YouTube channel. I respect him a lot more than I do almost a lot of the other channels, except for maybe one or two. And that's because he approaches it of, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Star Wars. Why do you like it? Why do I not? One of the problems I've had with him recently is I feel like he's kind of upped the ante on the whole, I'm right and you're wrong, and here's why. It was... He's not doing the whole Star Wars Explained thing where he's like, if you don't agree with me, it's because you're salty or you're sexist or something like that. He's not doing that. But there are times where he talks about, like, people who disagree with him are mainly, like, fanboys or sometimes, like, big gamers or man-babies. I can't remember exactly which video it was. But I know, like, for Battlefront 2, he kind of defended a little bit of it. And he's honest. I just don't agree with a lot of his opinions. So I guess that's my problem, is that I don't agree with a lot of his opinions, and sometimes the way he approaches the conversation. And I know I'm one to talk, because I do a lot of the same damn shit. But overall, I like Hello Greedo. He's by far one of my favorites, if not my favorite Star Wars YouTube channel, because I don't really like most of them. And he by far is one of the guys that I grew up watching. I remember when Hello Greedo came out with the special editions, changes and everything. I remember when his channel got started. So I've always known about him and enjoyed his content. So it's just recently, now that I have been vocal about my opinion, it feels like I'm differing with him, and that's what I don't like, is I don't like differing with him, but it doesn't mean I don't like him. I think he's a great channel. Next question is by 621 Chop C. I don't know how to say it, whatever. Which TV Legends character Captain Fordor, would you like to see make a comeback in future? What? No, I don't. Mate, I don't know any of these people. I'm sorry. I can't answer that one. This one's by something, the Raincaster. He says, what's your opinion on TV series like Into the Badlands? Never seen it, but I can't talk about it. Sorry. Next question, Tim Stormer. Do you think the Empire was weakened for the sake of storytelling, or in other words, for the sake of letting the heroes win? No. No. Episode 6 was very childish in terms of the Ewoks. I think overall, though, if you look at episode 4, it just kind of made sense. I mean, it was a kind of daring rescue thing that just, the Empire let the rebels leave and to attract the base. That seemed like a good strategic move, and they found the base, but their overconfidence got them killed and everything. These are errors that happened. It felt real. The only thing that didn't feel real was the freaking Ewoks killing everybody. But you look at The Empire Strikes Back, what happened? The entire film is about, our heroes losing. They lose the rebel base. Han, people thought he died at the end. Luke got his hand chopped off. Vader's his father. It ends kind of hopeful, but also kind of like, dang, dude, what's next? I mean, crap. I want to see what happens, but is Han alive? And what's going to happen next? Who knows? It seems like they just lost a lot. I mean, what the hell? So the Empire wasn't weakened until episode 6. That's why episode 4 and 5 are so great, is because it felt realistic enough. And so, yeah, no, I don't think they were weakened at all. I just felt like, with episode 6, the Ewoks were just stupid. I mean, that's really all it was. If it was Wookiees, it'd make a little more logical sense, but whatever. Devin asked, do you feel like there's a war going on in the sequel trilogy? Not really. I mean, I do, but I don't. It's Star Wars. I mean, there has to be a war going on, right? I mean, I definitely didn't feel like there was a war going on in the prequels, that's for sure. But here, yeah, I mean, I guess as much as you can with the original trilogy, it's not like Saving Private Ryan, where you're always seeing battle, so it's not like a war film, but it is called Star Wars. So yeah, I don't know. Kind of hard question to answer for me. Dr. Requiem, if I'm saying that right, isn't that movie Aliens Requiem? Ugh. He says, best fan film, question mark. I don't really, if I had to pick one, I would have to say the Darth Maul fan film, where like they're fighting in a jungle and everything. That was really cool, really interesting, so I like that. Can you provide a link for the video where you got your intro from? Yeah, sure, whatever. Should Star Wars Episode 9 be the finale for the Skywalker Saga, or should there be another trilogy consisting of episodes 10, 11, and 12? I've talked about this before. Where can you go after this? I mean, unless Rey happens to be a Skywalker and has a kid or something like that, then sure, yeah, by all means. But you look at Kylo Ren, his name's, Ben Solo. He's not Ben Skywalker. He'd be different. And don't get me wrong, I get blood-wise, he's a Skywalker, but it's Ben Solo. So, I mean, really, if Rey's not a Skywalker and there's no other Skywalker, Luke didn't have a kid or anything, well, then who the fuck's next? I mean, it's Ben Solo. It's not Ben Skywalker. Are you going to change the name next for the next kid? I mean, so yeah, I think it should end with Episode 9. I think it'd be too confusing trying to do 10, 11, and 12, and too condensing in terms of story, what they could tell. That's why they had to make the EU not canon anymore. The expanded universe had to be scrapped because there's so many stories already told that Episode 8 and 9 would basically be the Thrawn trilogy, the Yuuzhan Vong War, stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely end at Episode 9. I'm done with the sequel trilogy. I want to get it over with at this point. I just think I want to be done with it. Next question is from IBSD Gaming. Do you think that because of how bad Episode 8 was, it ruined Episode 7? It didn't ruin it. It just definitely made a lot of the decisions in there even more stupid. It's just like, well, what the fuck? What's going on with the map to Luke Skywalker? Who made that? Why did they make that if no one could find him? What's going on there? Did he leave that? And it's just, the characters are so different between episodes 7 and 8. And so it didn't ruin it for me. It just makes me not want to watch it ever again. Because after episode 7 came out, I went and watched it like 5 times in the theaters. When it came out, I watched it once or twice. I was like, yeah, it is like A New Hope. But I enjoy it. I'll watch it from time to time. And, then episode 8 came out, and I watched it twice. And then I got drunk one night and watched it a little bit on Netflix. And I was like, yeah, this is horrible. I can't do it. So, it definitely didn't make episode 7 better. So, this one is a Tiger Thorn 1110. Huh, alright. Why are the lightsaber colors like white and yellow in the darksaber exclusive to just Star Wars shows? Oh, because it's too confusing to sit there and try to make that for a movie. Black sabers and crap like that. Black saber can't work in real life. It can work in animation and it can work in shows and in video games, but not in real life. Overall, for sure, it's too confusing to sit there and try to explain what yellow and what a dark saber means and what a white saber means into movies. It's pretty simple. There's green, there's blue, and there's red. The green and blue guys are good, and the red guys are bad. Oh, and the black guy has a purple one. I mean, it's pretty simple. And it was confusing when the purple one came out, too. So, yeah, no, keep it nice and simple. Every Star Wars book you've ever read, nope, not even going to sit there and try to tell you every single one. What is your opinions on Rebels, specifically the last few episodes with the Temple and the Jedi story arcs? How do you feel about what they did with the Jedi lore? Lore-wise, they didn't touch on it too much that I was definitely disappointed with. It was completely fine, kept up with Clone Wars perfectly. Wasn't a big fan of Rebels in general. Some of the arcs were okay, but they were few and far between. I mean, for every 12 episodes I got in a season, 4 of them were a story arc, and they were 3 episodes apart, and the 3 episodes in between, or whatever, however many, the 3 episodes, or the 3 or 4 episodes in between were basically filler. So, I'm not a fan of Rebels. But the ones that had story arcs to them were actually not horrible. So, take that as you will. What does Star Wars mean to you? This is by Sabin Brown, I believe that's how you say his name. A lot. It means a lot. I don't know. I mean, I've dedicated a large part of my life to dealing with Star Wars, so it's a huge part of my life. For me, it means culture, American culture. Like, a big inspiration of American culture. For me. But not only that, world culture. And so, it's inspiration. That's my big word for Star Wars. Inspiration. One thing I love about George Lucas and the world that he created is that it inspires you to not only do something like that, it makes you want to go to a world like that. And so, I like that a lot. Who shot first, Han or Greedo? Han shot first, and ironically, he's the only guy who shot in the original, unaltered editions. When the special editions came out, George Lucas, for some idiotic reason, changed it where Greedo shot first, because that matches in his vision. The problem with that is that changes the character. Originally it was like Han's the guy who will do anything it takes and kind of does whatever he wants. He's just a badass. I mean, he smuggles. I mean, come on. He's a gangster. And then you have it where Greedo shoots first and he misses. And it's like, aren't you a mercenary? How do you miss when he's right there? I mean, come on. You at least would have to shoot the body. So, yeah, no. Han shot first. The special editions are stupid. Yeah. Least favorite part in Return of the Jedi. There's some moments. From the moment they get on Endor and deal with the Ewoks, alright, from the moment Leia wakes up and sees the yub-nub motherfucker or whatever, that's when it's just like, oh my god. Everything else was pretty okay. Jabba's palace was like, it was kind of, it's got uniqueness to it. There's some good moments in that. With the Ewoks, though, you're just like, bro, why? So that definitely is my least favorite part, and I would assume the worst part. Next question is from Hey Zay. That's a funny name. If you could have chosen anyone else to direct the sequel trilogy, who would it be? Also, do you think the real problem with Lucasfilm today is they're too political? No, I don't care about political stuff too much like that. It does ruin it, a part of it for me, but overall, it's simply just poorly ran company. The first question, though, if you could have chosen anyone to direct the sequel trilogy, who would it be? I mean, honestly, I would have to say someone like J.J. Abrams would be great. There's a lot of people. James Cameron's really good. Steven Spielberg. Yeah, I would probably go to the guys that George Lucas originally went to direct the prequels. You had Ron Howard, Steven Spielberg, the guy who directed the Back to the Future movies. I would go to someone like that. Either that or J.J. Abrams. But I'd also, I mean, if you're talking about just directing, that's the only choice I have, I'd pick J.J. If you're talking about if I have control over who's making it, like all of it, and if J.J. directs all 3, fine, whatever. If I do it 3 different people, fine, whatever. But I would have the same 2 or 3 people writing every single time. Lawrence Kasdan, and then the director, or someone else, whoever, George Lucas if he wants to write as well. Stuff like that. So that would be my dream of JJ getting the whole thing by himself, directing it wise, or one of the guys like Ron Howard and Steven Spielberg, or the guy who directed Back to the Future. These are great directors, so that's why I like them, and that's why I'd probably pick them, because they can get the adventure and the sci-fi feel that Star Wars has, even though it's not really exactly a sci-fi. It's sci-fi. Dennis Steed, I think The Mandalorian will be a mix of old western like Lone Ranger. And what do you think? Sorry, my English. I'm Brazilian. Oh well, howdy. I think it will be kind of an old western kind of thing. It looks like it's already kind of in a Tatooine-ish area. I definitely think it'll be about just kind of the outlaws of the area, and a lot of people love that stuff. So yeah, I do think it'll be a mix of old Western kind of stuff. Next question is from Shockwave. Do you think Star Wars Explained will make a response? Nope, I don't think he will. I think that's just kind of dead and gone. I don't really care about it anymore. He didn't want to talk back to what I had to say, or just asking him, hey, do you want to talk about, the stuff? I kind of want to debate him on it. His opinions on Kathleen Kennedy and just Star Wars fans in general, it seemed. And he gave his response on Twitter and some, YouTube comments. He won't let me comment anything saying, hey, I remember I commented once. I was like, hey, I made a response video to your Kathleen Kennedy video. I would love it if you check it out. May the force be with you. Something like that. And he deleted me. So he just doesn't want to talk to me. So it's not going to happen. Darth Korn is, what are your thoughts about the Star Wars shipping community? Raylos, Finray, Luxoka? What the fuck is that? Raylo, stupid. Finray, they seemed like perfectly fine friends to me. I don't know why they... I think shipping communities are a waste of time. I don't sit there and fantasize and fairy tale myself about Kylo and Rey or freaking Padme and Anakin falling in love. That's some girly crap. I'm okay not dealing with that. So no, I've never liked that community. I remember when I was on Instagram coming up in high school, when my Instagram page was growing, I would have people message me and be like, hey, you want an RP? And I'm like, what's RP? And they're like, roleplay. And I'm like, we haven't even had a drink yet. Like, what's going on? And they're like, no. Like, you play a character and I play a character. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is that? Like, why would I do that on Instagram? I was like 15, 16 at the time. What the hell? So yeah, no, I'm not into that crap. People are weird. Next question is from Light Uchiha. Ooh, Naruto. I love that shit. What kind of movies would you have planned for the sequels and the in-betweeners? The sequels would have definitely been different. I would have focused more on Luke's Jedi Academy and just kind of, maybe the Sith is coming back, or, someone like Kylo Ren turns and has to kind of deal with that and getting him back to the light. That would have been my plan for the sequel trilogy. And the in-betweeners, I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have done a movie every year. I would have waited till the sequel trilogy was done and then focus on different stuff and do different things. So yeah, that's what I would have done. Falling Pepper 11 says Abeloth, and that's not a question. It's not a topic. It's a statement. Oh, it is a topic, I guess. Abeloth is hella overpowered. Speaking of people like Naruto from the last question, or from the last guy's name, Abeloth is like the mother from Naruto. Overpowered as shit and doesn't even need to be relevant, but it is kind of cool that she is a thing, so I don't know. George Koch 2 is asking, can we watch the 70s Christmas special? That's okay. I don't even know really how to attain it. There's a lot of weird ways to attain that. Well, one of them's eBay, but in terms of buying it from Star Wars yourself and Lucasfilm, never gonna happen. That's a commodity. So yeah. Next question is Agent Clickbait 007. I know he's a big fan of the channel. What's your favorite food? I know it's not Star Wars, but I'm hungry. Pizza, maybe. Steak. Nah, steak is pretty good. Yeah, I like steak. Or sour cream and onion Pringles. That's one of my favorites. Pizza Man asks, do you have a favorite expanded universe character or story? That is a tough one, buddy. I think the entire Star Wars The Old Republic story, from Knights of the Republic to the game Star Wars The Old Republic and all the books, is just awesome. I love a lot of the Old Republic stuff. That's one of my favorite things. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite. If I had to pick one, though, I'd probably have to say Plagueis. I loved his story, the book itself. That was really cool. Next question is the same Devin guy from earlier. Should we boycott Rian Johnson's trilogy if it happens? And will episode 10 flop? I assume you mean episode 9. I will not be watching Rian Johnson's trilogy. That, for sure... fuck. I hope I'm dedicated enough not to, because it's kind of screwed up for me to be like, I'm a Star Wars channel, but I'm not going to watch the trilogy. I don't want to watch it. How about that? I plan on not watching it. And, yeah, I plan on not watching it, because I don't like Rian Johnson. Will episode 9 be a flop? No. I think episode 9 will do completely fine in terms of sales. I think it'll be lower than episode 8, but I do think it will be okay. Does Jabba the Hutt have a skeleton? I don't know. I assume so. He does not look like a being or a reptilian kind of thing, or he's like an ant where they have the exoskeleton outside and like the guts inside or whatever. We have our skeleton inside us and kind of like the muscle and all that crap around it, and some inner organs. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at anatomy, so don't mark my word for it. And I couldn't care less about his exoskeleton or anything like that. So whatever. List the best aspect of each trilogy. The prequels, the best aspect of the prequels. I'm not the biggest fan of the prequels. For me, it would be what's great about the prequels? Lightsabers are pretty cool. I guess in terms of potential, is that it had a lot of potential, and it built up a lot of different characters. If it weren't for the prequels, we wouldn't have gotten the Clone Wars, and therefore I like that. There's some games that came out because of the prequels. You know, whether you like the prequels or not, a lot of people do like them in the Star Wars community. And so that is nice that it has a good community. I guess one of the best aspects for the prequels are just simply the memes. Yeah, fuck that other shit I was talking about. The memes. That's the best aspect of the prequels. Oh, God, that took me a minute. The original trilogy for me is inspiration. That's for me is Star Wars. Inspiration to, make new make new stories, new movies and everything, and capture the magic that had. The sequel trilogy, the best aspect of that is a rebirth of Star Wars. Yeah, a rebirth. It kind of, it's not a great one. Fuck it, I don't know. Next one is from Max Renee. Do you think the fandom will be more united once the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian comes out? Yes and no. I think what we're going to see in 2019 is a good year for Star Wars fans, where the people who like the Disney stuff and the people who don't like the Disney stuff are in the middle. Like, I'm not anti-Disney, but I'm not a Disney fanboy. I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu, Nah, but still, I'm the guy in the middle. And I'm like, I try to see both sides of the aisle, but I am more anti-Disney than I am pro-Disney. So, for me, I feel like a lot of the people like me who are they can see the grass is greener sometimes on either side and sometimes it's not. I feel like a lot of us casual fans that aren't anti-Disney, like extreme anti-Disney, like I'm talking world-class bullshitters, geeks and gamers kind of anti-Disney, I feel like a lot of us are going to enjoy 2019 and we're all going to be united and be like, hey, this stuff is awesome. And I feel like a lot of the people who are like geeks and gamers, world-class bullshitters, and Alex Becker who are like, Star Wars is dead and it's never coming back, who, world-class bullshitters, when Clone Wars is coming back, they said you shouldn't be excited for it because it's coming out from under Disney. People like that aren't going to have a good year in 2019 because I feel like there's going to be a lot of good stuff for 2019. And I feel like if you have a united fan base for the stuff that's coming out in that year, they're going to be like, hey, you guys are literally just hating to hate. That was my thing with the Clone Wars Season 7 coming back and then being like, oh, you shouldn't be excited. It's like, why the fuck not, bro? We've been asked, this is exactly what we asked for. So really, at this point, what do you want? So yeah, I think 2019 will be a good unified year for Star Wars fan. I think after that, though, it's going to be wishy-washy. I think it's going to be a little rough until Kathleen leaves. And even then, I think once Kathleen leaves, it's going to be even more chaotic. Because what if Dave Filoni becomes president and the freaking, the franchise goes to crap still? Then at that point, who do you have to blame other than the fans? So, I don't know. This fandom's weird. Next question is from Kramit. Why do people complain about Star Wars? I made a video on this. People complain about it because they love it. People love Star Wars so much, it's hard not to complain about it. It's not just a movie. It's not just a franchise. It's personal. It's building blocks on the foundation of who you are as a person when you were growing up. I've always grown up to want to be like Luke, to always want to go out on an adventure, and I got inspired by Luke to go on an adventure. I was inspired by Star Wars to make this channel and do all these different things, and I like that. And you look at, like I said, with the potential from, or the memes itself from the prequel trilogy, that's the entire reason I have this channel, because I built this channel off my Instagram, and I built my Instagram off of memes from the prequels. So it's a love-hate thing. I don't like the prequels, but they're the entire reason my channel exists, whether I like it or not. So we complain about it because we love it. It's personal. Star Wars is personal for me. That's why when I talk about it, I'm passionate about it. I love Star Wars. Though people may think I hate it, and I hate it because I love it so much. I hate certain aspects of that because I love so much. So it's a really weird thing with Star Wars fans. But I think people hate it and complain about it is because they love it so much. So now we're going to go to the questions from some Instagram, try to get some quick ones out the way. Let's see here. Do you think we'll ever have another great Star Wars movie, or will it die before then? So basically, in the future of Star Wars, will there be another great one, like the original trilogy? Potentially, yes. With all the countless movies we're most likely going to be getting over the next 50 years. Spin-offs or whatever. come on, one of those have to be like freaking amazing. I mean, come on, how can they not? But is it going to be episode 5? Probably not. Nostalgia's going to love that thing to death. And by the time my generation is old, the prequels are going to be worshipped or whatever, and the originals are just going to be old and fossilized. And by the time that generation dies out, the sequels are going to be worshipped, and the prequels are just going to be fossilized, and the originals are going to be people who are like me who want to be like from the 80s. They're going to be like, ooh, yeah, I'm a big original trilogy fan. So, yeah, this is going to be weird. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be another great Star Wars film, at least not soon. Do you think they should maybe just try to reboot the timeline in Episode 9, which basically excludes 7 and 8, make it non-relevant? No, that confused the fuck out of everybody. I'm not sitting here trying to deal with all that crap. It's confusing with the X-Men universe. You had, X-Men 3, The Last Stand, and then the Origins, and then, what Days of Future Past happened, and so now you have, the Dark Phoenix movie coming out, but it's not from the X-Men 3 universe, it's from X-Men First Class universe, or not First Class, because it's, I don't know, so no, don't do that. The timeline shit gets annoying. Next question is, why don't you like the prequels? I've talked about this so many times. If you look at the prequels for a movie perspective, critically judging it as a movie, it's not good. Compared to the original trilogy, it's not good. I can't find a character that I can really enjoy and relate to. Who the fuck's the protagonist in the first one? The second one has the cringiest love story of all time, and the third one is just good because of the memes now. That's the only reason. And it's got some moments, don't get me wrong, it's my favorite out of the trilogy, and I do enjoy watching it sometimes, but they're not amazing. So I don't like the prequels at all. I just don't. And it's not that I hate them, it's just that they're not good movies, and I'm never going to sit here and say they are because they're not, and you just got to accept it. Next question is, same thing, the freaking Vader fan film. Oh my god. Do you think Mace Windu is still alive? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough marketing to bring him back and make money off it. This is a good question. Why are fans who defend The Last Jedi always so shitty to other fans that disagree with them? That's a good question because it's accurate. I feel like that, this was one of the things I didn't like about Hello Greedo, is that for sometimes some of his arguments are like, if what I say is kind of like not law, but he's kind of making it seem like if you disagree with him, it's because you're not smart and he is. A lot of Last Jedi defenders, and this is one of the people, like Hello Greedo, they go off the thing where, they defend The Last Jedi in the terms of, I get it, but you don't. And that's why I feel like they treat people who don't like The Last Jedi kind of shittier. Now, let's not sit here and act like people who like The Last Jedi are horrible people. There are people who just like The Last Jedi, and that's fine. But some people who try to advocate for it and make these really weird arguments for it, other than simply, I just liked it, I didn't think it was that bad, and try to say that The Last Jedi haters, people who like me who don't like it at all, they're like, oh, you're haters, or you simply don't get it. You're not smart enough. That's how Rian Johnson is. He's like Homer Simpson, where he's like, everyone's an idiot but me. Because he's the only one who gets the movie, because he made it. So, I feel like that's the thing we have with The Last Jedi defenders. I feel like people who attack it, though, who are just Disney haters, I try to make rational arguments on why I don't like it. It's not that I do hate the film. I do hate the film. But a lot of people who like The Last Jedi get attacked by people who didn't like it. And they get attacked and they're like, oh, you're just an SJW liberal. You don't understand Star Wars. That's not Luke. Fuck you. You're the worst part about the Star Wars fan base. So don't act like it's not one-sided. But yeah, I do think when it comes to the side of the defenders and the way they treat the people who don't like the film, they do kind of act like they're the smarter people of, I get it, but you don't. And then to be fair, the people who don't like the film try to act smarter and be like, well, I get why it's shit and you don't. So, it's just how people are, man. Do you think Rian Johnson is actually insane? No. I just think he's very stubborn. I think he's one of those guys who's like, kind of edgy of I subverted your expectations and I like the fat people. He's like one of those guys who's an asshole. I'm an asshole. As an asshole, I can say he's an asshole. But he's one of those guys who's an asshole because he thinks being an asshole is cool. And it's not. No one likes assholes anymore. That used to be a thing 10 years ago. Nice guys finish last. That's not a thing, in 2018. Now everyone's got to be a sweetheart. So Rian Johnson's that guy who's like, I'm an asshole and you should like me for it. And that's why, if you don't like it, it's whatever, because I'm an asshole. So I don't think he's insane. I just think he's a stubborn asshole. And that's coming from a stubborn asshole. Next question is, can JJ save the new trilogy, and how do you think he might do? I think episode 9 is going to be the best one out of this current trilogy. I think episode 7 was just a stepping stone for episode 8. Episode 8 completely fell down the fucking stairs, and now episode 9 is going to take the escalator up to a decent movie. So I think episode 9 will be an okay film. Next question is, when will you come back to Instagram? Oh yeah, I stopped posting on Instagram. I don't miss it, man. I don't like Instagram. One thing, and it's one of the reasons I don't like Star Wars fans that much in general. If you go back and look at any post I put on Instagram, and I'm not exaggerating, or at least I hope I'm not. If you look at any post, almost every fucking one has a negative comment. I could post a picture of Star Wars, and someone put in the comments and be like, this isn't Star Wars because it's in 2018, and that's the Disney era of Star Wars. You need to get your little white ass in a DeLorean, travel back in time, and post it in 2005 when it was Revenge of the Sith, because that was amazing. And then you got other people who are like, Star Wars hasn't been Star Wars since 1983, and even that was kind of a shitty year, because the movie wasn't that good. So, no matter what I say on Instagram or what I post, I get hate, and I'm just tired of it. So I stopped posting, and I thought I'd miss it because I like the memes, and I like some of the compliments I would get, and just the funny jokes people would put in the comments. That was the best stuff ever. And all I see is hate. Is hate and hate. And if I say anything remotely positive, they're like, oh, finally, you like Star Wars. Or if I say, yeah, well, I wasn't a big fan of The Phantom Menace, but this part was pretty cool. They're like, hey, there you go, hating on Star Wars. It's like, I can't say anything that's Star Wars related without someone on any aisle. I don't even care if they're on my side on half the arguments, hating on me. There are people who call me a Disney shill for liking The Force Awakens. Then they call me a Disney hater for not liking The Last Jedi. Pick your fucking poison. All right? Sorry I cuss so much. It's just a thing I do. But still, yeah, if I come back to Instagram, it'll be in November, and that's not because I miss it. There are personal reasons for that, not in terms of like, oh, I have an emotional family thing. It's just like legit, like there's stuff behind that I won't explain. There's only one guy who will know why that is, and that's probably Clint, Star Wars Daily. So if y'all want the answer, hit him up. While I will only come back in November. But other than that, I'm only coming back in November. In terms of money, how much do you think Star Wars is worth? Okay, I've been a big advocate of this. George Lucas got ripped off in the $4 billion purchase. Now, to be fair, I'm not going to sit here and lie. He got $2 billion in Disney shares of stock, Disney stock. $2 billion of Disney stock. Do you know how much that's gone up since 2012? Not only that, they pay dividends. $2 billion in dividends, if it's a 1% dividend yield, is a shitload. So yeah, he didn't get the best deal that I would have gone for. But $2 billion in stocks alone is crazy. If someone gave you $2 billion in stocks while you were 18, you would never have to work another day in your life. I shit you not, you'd make millions a year. Oh my god. $2 billion in stocks. I would cry a river. And so, I think, though, back to the whole how much was it worth. Right now, it's worth probably about $3.5 billion. Market's kind of gone down for Star Wars since the recent movies. And this is me being on. Actually, no, it probably is worth $4 billion. Because I thought it was undervalued when it was sold to Disney. But if it, in terms of, he sold it for $4 billion. I think it's gone down by 0.5, maybe even 0.25. It's just gone down. That solo flop hasn't helped it. It's diminished its value. When George Lucas sold it, though, he should have sold it for about $6 billion. Episode 7 and 8 both made close. I know episode 7 made, I think, $1 billion or whatever, maybe even more. And episode 8 got really close, if not, it made it or whatnot. So they're making a lot of money off these things. Toys itself is cashing in money nonstop. But I do think $4 billion was a little undervalued. I definitely think it could have been purchased for a little bit more. Because wasn't the UFC purchased for $4 billion? Zuffa? I know Dana White was, whatever. But that was about a year or two ago. That's a lot of money for UFC. So that's saying UFC and Star Wars are worth the same thing. You make a lot more money from Star Wars than you do the UFC, honestly. But, I don't know. So, let's see. What's the next question that we can see here? Who was the best clone in your opinion? Fives, I guess. I like Fives. He's cool. What got you into Star Wars? Man, I don't know. I just started watching as a kid, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've always been a fan of the original trilogy as a kid. I used to watch them all the time on VHS, back when those were a thing. And then I started getting the DVD versions of them, and I started watching that all the time. And with the prequels, I would watch them from time to time, but I mainly watched the originals nonstop growing up. I've just always been such a big Star Wars fan. Like, it has been a big part of my life ever since I was like a little kid. Let's see here. Is water wet? Yes, it is. What would be your reaction if Ezra was played in The Last Jedi by Benicio del Toro? I don't know how I would have felt about that because, I mean, I personally wouldn't have liked it because I would have just been like, dude, I got to keep up with Rebels to keep track of this movie. What the hell? And so I wouldn't like that aspect of it. It would be different and unique, though, and seeing what Ezra eventually comes to be, which kind of spoils Rebels itself. So, yeah, I don't think I'd be a big fan of it, honestly. Next question is, what is your favorite Star Wars YouTube channel, if any? Honestly, if I had to pick, growing up, I really liked Hello Greedo, like I said earlier, and Thor Skywalker, I like him a lot. Net Alliance is a good guy too. I talk to him from time to time, I guess. Really like him. He's one of my favorites, and yeah, I don't have a lot of personal favorite Star Wars YouTube channels. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, I guess Red Letter Media, even though they're not really a Star Wars channel, but I like the Star Wars content they put out the most. I love the Plinkett reviews. Overall, though, I don't really have one, and it's not trying to diss and be like, oh, I'm the greatest of all time. It's just simply the fact that there's channels that are out there about Star Wars where it's like, if I'm waking up and basically one of my jobs is Star Wars and my biggest hobby in life is Star Wars other than martial arts, I don't want to get on my phone and watch Star Wars as well all the time. And so I'm not really into a lot of these other channels at all. And that's just me, and personally. I don't know about other people. So next question is... would you want an Ahsoka movie? I personally wouldn't want one. I don't want one either. You know, she was a great character in the Clone Wars, and actually a character that started off like... a lot of people didn't like her when she first came out because she was kind of a wee bit annoying. But as the show progressed, she actually took on a character of her own, and I really did like that. I don't think transferring that over into a live action would do so well in terms of how she looks, in terms of just what the story could be told with her. I mean, there's a lot of catching up you have to do. For a lot of casual Star Wars fans who only watch the movies, they're not going to know who Ahsoka is. So making a movie on her, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I'm with you there, partner. I don't think that they should make a video, or not make a video, a YouTube video. Fuck, why am I saying YouTube video? A movie. They should make a movie about that. My God, I'm sorry. I'm high as shit, as you know. What are your thoughts on the holiday special? I think I talked about that a little earlier. I think it's, you know, what it is. It's a mistake by George Lucas. He himself admits that. And it's one of those things where it's just a bad part of our culture. Kind of like the stupid songs that come out from time to time, or the movies like Sharknado. It's so bad that it's good, and it's a big part of our culture. And so, yeah, I think the holiday special is just horrible, and I'm glad I've never watched it. Other than the clips I have seen of it, and they're so fucking weird. There's a part where like this Wookiee. What's weird is like most of the movie consists of these Wookiees on. I know it's on Earth Day, and I know it has like these Wookiees talking, but it doesn't have like subtitles to it or anything, so you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then one of them watches like this lady dancing and singing to him. It's really weird. So I've seen a lot of the holiday special. I just haven't watched the whole thing because it's really hard to get. So yeah, I don't have great thoughts on it. This guy Star Wars 1980, he came from Instagram. I like him a lot. He said thoughts on deleted scenes from The Last Jedi and why they weren't included despite being good. It won't let me finish the rest. Sorry. The scenes from The Last Jedi and deleted scenes, the ones that I saw that I particularly was okay with being included would of course be the whole Han Solo thing that was rumored are supposed to have happen, of seeing Luke's reaction and everything. Overall, there's not a lot that I liked. There's one that I particularly liked the most, which is the deleted scene with not Rose, Captain Phasma and Finn, I believe, when they were battling and Rose was there on the First Order ship, the big not the Dreadnought, whatever Snoke's big ship was. When they were on that, there was a scene where Finn kind of explained that Phasma was like evil or not really with their troops or something like that, and then she went out and like killed all the other troopers. And as I said earlier, I think that's a cool little story to go into. I really like that deleted scene. That actually put some character in for Finn and Phasma that was interesting and intriguing. So I like that. Didn't happen though. So yeah, there's not a lot of deleted scenes I even enjoyed from the movie itself because I'm just not a big fan of the movie at all. The next question is, who is the most overrated character? Definitely gonna have to be Revan, or who else is pretty overrated? Revan's really overrated. People think he's like the greatest, Star Wars character of all time and can beat anybody when he can't. Couldn't even beat Emperor Vitiate with help. Then Who else is pretty overrated? Starkiller's pretty overrated. Not overrated, he's just overpowered. Boba Fett's definitely overrated. So is Darth Maul. Darth Maul's really overrated. Darth Maul's not as good as everyone makes him out to be. But I'd have to pick Revan. Revan's one of the most overrated characters ever. Let's see. That's a question I don't want to answer. Do you want to see Cody, more of Cody in the Clone Wars? I mean, sure, why not? He's a decent character. I mean, it's not. I'm just excited for the season 7 coming back. That's all I care about, honestly. Have you heard of Harmy's Despecialized Edition? I've heard a lot of the fan edits. There's a lot of different subculture parts or sub communities that go on with Star Wars fans. You have your fan editors, you have your saber makers and whatnot, you have your meme people and all that stuff, and your role playing community and whatnot, the weird ones. There's so many different sections of the community. I know a large part for a while, especially before not the internet was a big thing, but especially before what we have now, fan editions and whatnot were a big thing. Or fan edits is what you call them, my bad. Fan edits were a big thing. And so I know there's a lot of despecialized editions out there. I haven't seen a despecialized edition in years. The most recent fan edit or Star Wars fan film I've seen, it is called a fan edit. I think it's called Heir to the Force. And it's basically a cut of The Force Awakens. And I'm eventually going to start reviewing some of these fan edits and just kind of putting my opinions out there on them, just because someone needs to talk about them. They're kind of dying out in terms of how many people pay attention to those. And that was a big part for the people who grew up with the original trilogy and who weren't the biggest fans of prequels and whatnot. The OT fans, all that's a big part of what they have done. So I think fan edits need to be focused a little more on than they have, because for me that's a big part of why I was a Star Wars fan. I grew up watching a lot of fan edits. I remember watching the 90-minute cut or whatever of the Phantom Menace, and then there's a lot of other cuts that you can even see on YouTube where it actually just cuts down the prequels, and instead of 3 movies it's just in the 1 movie and everything. And so I think we need to shed some more light on communities like that we have in the Star Wars, because it feels like there's a lack of creativity going on in the Star Wars fan base right now, and I don't like that. And so I feel like we need to get more inspiration from what we have. We're not getting a lot of inspiration from the sequels or the shows that are currently coming out. The most inspiration we're getting is in terms of cosplaying, and that's another big community, if not the biggest community out there. So there's that, but overall, I don't know. We need more culture and art to our community right now, because right now it's just nothing but hate. So I think fan edits are one of the ways that we can really improve that, because it's seeing fans take the work and turn that into something else. And what's amazing about, you can think about the special editions, it's technically already a fan edit. I mean, that's what the special editions are. Talking about despecialized editions and whatnot. The special editions are something that George Lucas went back and created in 1997 on the original trilogy. So he's a fan of his own fucking work. I mean, he literally took his own work. A New Hope, he changed it up a lot. Episode 5, a good amount, but ironically for the better. There's some decent parts in it. Return of the Jedi, he made a lot worse. He made almost any of the special edition stuff made the movies worse. The only thing that really didn't make it worse was the ending song to Return of the Jedi. Instead of the yab nub do 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 do, it's all that stuff's stupid. But what you have in the special edition is actually better. But the whole Han shot first thing, that was an original, and then special edition, Greedo did it. Return of the Jedi special edition, Vader says no, all cringy like. And so it's just weird that George Lucas went back and worked on all that stuff when it didn't A, need to be worked on, and B, it was, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. But it's a fan edit. I mean, that's what it is. It's a fan edit of his own fucking work, which is mind-boggling. I mean, I love George, but man, he's caught me some interesting stuff. This one's from a guy named Devin on Instagram. I don't know if I've answered this before, but I like this question right here. Do you think the Star Wars hotels will be successful, even after the rough ride Star Wars had over the years? Yeah, I definitely think the hotels will be successful, not only because it's simply Star Wars and it's a tourist attraction, it's going to be in Disneyland, Disney World as well, I believe, right? It's going to be in both of those, and it's going to be a huge deal. I mean, it's a Star Wars hotel. It's no matter what you want to say about Star Wars, people say it's having its highs and its lows. A lot of those cancer channels are going to say, Star Wars is dead and it's never coming back. Star Wars is not dead, and it won't be dead for a long time. Now, is it at the same heights that it was back in the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy era, or even when Episode 7 was coming out? For me, that was the big hype for Star Wars when Episode 7 was coming out. Is it going to be like that? Probably not, but it's not dead. So the hotels are going to do fine. I might go stay at the hotels one day. And if I do, I definitely want to make like a YouTube video on it where I actually, show you my experience with a good camera and some editing and whatnot and do all that. A nice little tour and a review on the hotels itself because I think they're great. You can complain about Disney as much as you want. When it comes to something like that, where you actually get to be in a Star Wars like hotel and feel like you're in the Star Wars universe, there's not many companies out there who could bring that to you. I mean, I know Lucasfilm itself was really big, but as much as I'm not a fan of how Disney's ran Star Wars, I don't hate it, but I sure as hell don't love it. George Lucas knew he was going to sell it to them. I mean, I've watched a lot of documentaries on this guy and Star Wars in general, especially the original trilogy. I know a lot about George Lucas that I don't even need to know or care to know. And one of the things that I noticed is that he was always a big fan of Disney, and he had talks with people years before he even sold the rights of Star Wars to Disney. That eventually that was kind of the game plan. He could kind of see it going that way. So Disney does well at bringing Star Wars to life in terms of the Star Wars hotels and experiences like that. That's interesting. That's fun. I like doing stuff like that, and I think it'd be very cool to go live and do something like that at the Star Wars hotels. So I think those are going to be a hit. I mean, it's in Disney World, it's in Disneyland. They wouldn't put it there if it wasn't going to be a hit. I don't entirely know exactly what they're replacing and everything, but there's some things in Disney World that aren't hits. I go to Disney World a lot. I've been maybe 6 or 7 times in my life. I'm from Texas, so it's a flight over there. It's a vacation. I don't really want to go anytime soon, but when I go there, it's a great time. It's a great experience, and I enjoy it. But even I know that places like Animal Kingdom aren't doing so well. Like Animal Kingdom, there's not that many people that go to that one, if it's still around. So there are places like that where it's like, all right, well, that's not doing so well. Let's tear it down and bring a Star Wars thing. And so then who wouldn't want to go stay a night at Star Wars? I mean, people who don't like Star Wars are going to be like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's Star Wars. It's futuristic. It's a galaxy far, far away. There's cool things to do about it. So I think those will be successful. Now, I definitely do think they'll not live up to the hype, but just simply be what they should be, and that's just a tourist attraction. So I'm not seeing a lot more questions that are really interesting. Yeah, I don't... Kathleen Kennedy being a part of Star Wars for another 3 years. I think I've already talked about that. I'm not a big hater on it. I don't really care too much. I'm not a fan of Kathleen Kennedy, that's for sure, but I don't think she should die in a fiery pit. My question still remains is, who is going to be next after her in these 3 years? Right now, I'm going to have to say Dave Filoni, but I already talked about that in my last video. Yeah. I hope it's Dave Filoni. I like Dave Filoni. But I think that's all the questions I got for the day. And just, good hour little talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I have. Comment questions you want me to ask or answer on the next one. Or do it in the community thing that I put up when I ask about it and crap. Leave your thoughts if you made it this far along. What's a good comment you could put this time? You could put in the comments if you made it this long, Joe Rogan is a bald man. And then if you see anyone who did it, that means they made it, and that means you made it, so like their comment and whatnot to know y'all made it this far. Joe Rogan is a bald man. That's what you need to put. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm Star Wars only. I'm going to see y'all next time. May the Force be with you, always.